Hi folks, it's Kevin here, your host for the Bodyworker, and tonight we've got Sally here, and we're going to talk a little bit before we do our session. We're going to do something that's I've never heard of before called Zen Cranial, which is going to be a session of shiatsu, and it's also going to be a cranial sacral session done on the floor. So kind of a new combination. And Sally and I have been working together here on the show for, this is our 10th show. And we've just been doing a lot of massages. And we thought about talking about the emotional side of massage. Now, while massage isn't specifically aimed at releasing emotions, a lot of times emotions do come out when we're working with the body. That was a thumbs down to turn the music down, not for anything, special at home. We're having a little emotional outburst here right now. So, can you give us a little insight on some of your experiences with bodywork and how it's helped release emotions with you?
I've experienced crying while I was having a massage, but I didn't feel bad. I felt good, but I was crying nevertheless.
I've had some clients that said they had fear and other emotions during massage or after massages, and it seems to be resolving some kind of internal system.
It's like kind of like a flashback, but I feel safe. If that makes sense. It's like it's not as scary as the original.
But tonight we're going to be doing a little work with your head, and you've had some head injuries, some high impact, I guess what they call is high velocity impacts on your skull and chin. You had a little hit there on the chin.
A couple of them.
No, were these car wrecks or?
One was a car wreck, dashboard, like that, got 40 stitches. And I had my jaw broken on this side.
Both on the same side?
Romantic dispute. Fight with a boyfriend.
Tough love.
Tough love.
Okay.
Yes, no.
So anything else going on with you tonight that we need to know about?
My knee hurts.
Your right knee? Okay. So we can look at that.
And just in general, I'm already feeling sadness, so.
Okay.
Some things that I'm going through.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep that in mind and work through the session. And if you need to stop or anything while we're going through, just let me know. We'll start first laying down here on our body cushion. And I just uncovered the cushion tonight so that everybody can get a good look at it at home. Normally have a cover with a towel or something, but wanted to get a look at it tonight. This, I think, is about the right size for you. That'll work. Do you need this here? Can you
No.
Is it comfortable flat?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll put your arms up this way. I'm just going to start with some basic moves for shiatsu, and then we'll go in for a cranial assessment. And cranial work has been real fascinating for me because of it feels real subtle. You're using a very light pressure so that the bones won't pull back against you. A lot of people think that the bones in the head are fused together. We have this image of a skull that's just one piece of bone. And really, the skull is a collection of bones that breathe in and out, much like the lungs. As a matter of fact, the circulation created from the movement of the bones in the skull and the sacrum are called the primary respiratory system because they keep our nerves alive and functioning. So one of the ways of feeling that cranial rhythm is to put one hand on the sacrum or the tailbone here and one hand on the occiput of the head, and you can feel them tracking together. Now they're going slowly towards your feet. Now go on for 3 seconds or longer, and you can feel them start moving back up towards the top of her head now. Sometimes people will have the going in opposite directions, and that'll cause a real imbalance in the system. So what we can do when we find that imbalance is stop at one end and just hold it until the system restarts, and then encourage it to move in sync with each other. So what we've got basically is a movement like this, and that helps keep the spinal column just inside the vertebra, keep it nourished with the cerebral spinal fluid. We only have about 5 cups of cerebral spinal fluid in our bodies, so we need to keep it moving around. So I'm just going to do a little pressure down the spine here. To open up the bladder meridian. Sometimes we'll get a little pop in there. And in this form of shiatsu, this is a palming technique. I want to breathe as I'm shifting my weight onto my hands. And as I'm shifting my weight, I can tell by the response of Sally how much weight is appropriate. And a lot of times it's very surprising how much pressure the body can take. And what I'm doing now is I'm feeling for there's very light touch on the sacrum and seeing which way it wants to rotate. And what I'm going to do is track the sacrum in 3 vectors. It's wanting to go up towards her a little bit more. So I'm going to take it that way, see which way it wants to twist. Wanting to twist clockwise a little bit more, see which way it wants to lean. If I go left and right, it likes to lean left. So I'm pushing up towards her head and twisting clockwise and leaning to the left at the same time. I'm shaking those 3 different directions and piling them up in the sacrum and giving her about 25 pounds of pressure here. And as I hold this pressure, I can feel the joint between the sacrum and the iliac, or the pelvis, fill up with fluid. It's starting to fill up on the right side. We want it to fill up on both sides. So I'm just going to hold this pressure until I can feel that sacrum just start floating loose there. And just getting a little bit more. As you're doing this, you can kind of feel the breath just move right underneath your hands, as if her breathing went right through underneath my hands. It just lifted me up. There it goes. And now I can go back and check again and see if we're having a little bit better movement in the sacrum now. Whenever you're working with the brain and the spine, you want to work all the way to the end of the system. And the spine actually goes all the way into the sacrum, down to the second sacral segment. lot better on that segment. So we're just going to do a little bit here to loosen up the back a little bit. Again, working along the bladder meridian. Breathing into my palming pressure. This is just, whenever you do the palming stroke in the Zen Shiatsu, what you're wanting to do is draw energy out of an area. So what I'm doing is spreading it out by pressing with my palm. It's moving the energy away. If I press with just my thumb, it draws energy into it. So we're just spreading the energy out here, giving the back a little chance to relax. I'll come over and work on the other side. And all the time I'm watching her breathing. Just slowly transferring my weight over to my hands. I'm just wanting to loosen up the vertebra here a little bit. So we're going to go into the cranial system and create as much space as we can. A little tight around here around the diaphragm, so we're going to look at that when we turn over. Got another pop there. Okay, I'm going to move up here on the occiput and do what's called a still point. As this cerebral spinal fluid is pumped up and down the system, the occiput flexes in and out slightly. As I touch with a real light touch, you feel it moving in. Direction out. We're not feeling a lot of movement here in the occiput on Sally. Maybe from some of these hits she's been taking. But you can tell once you get connected into the cranial system, you'll see a pronounced effect in the client. She's doing some real deep breathing here. Just kind of making contact with her. There, we got a nice movement out. One of the beautiful things my instructor told me was that when you're working with the cranial system, just by observing the process, you facilitate a change and a readjustment in the system. Okay, now I followed the movement in, and I'm holding it right now. I can feel it struggling because it doesn't want to stop. And I'm just holding a light pressure, waiting for it to settle in. What we're doing here in the still point is there's a system of ventricles in the brain, 2 ventricles left and right on top, and then a third and a fourth one that go down by the midbrain. And what this basically does is stop the system for a minute. and lets the fluid that's already in the system have a chance to cycle out. You see we're getting a little adjustments here in the body. And what I'm waiting for with this still point is for the simultaneous left and right push on the occiput for the system to tell me that it's going to start up real strong, so that we'll have a nice balanced flow of fluid in the system. What happens in our bodies is through various traumas, we get flowing more on the left or the right side or the front or the back side. And although we go through our own still points all the time, we don't have a system to help us force it to come out. Not force it isn't a good word, but to create more of a balance. Sally's having a nice long still point here. It feels like we're starting to get ready to push back out. I think the still point is the most difficult part for me to feel in the cranial work, and maybe the most effective as well. It's probably not the most exciting thing to watch, but Michael always said it's like watching the grass grow. It's very relaxing work though. We're getting a little bit of push on the right side, actually Sally's left. And I'm just letting it flow out here on both sides. A little bit sluggish on Sally's right, but we're going to call that still point for right now.
You doing all right under there, Sally?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a little release here for L5, S1. Just getting a nice breath in it. What this is doing is creating some space at the other end. We're just trying to get a little flotation here in the spine. Plus, while she's face down, I'm getting a little bit more of a chance to work with the sacrum, where I can put some weight on it. Once we turn her over, it's going to be a little bit harder to work with. You get a nice breath. And we can turn you over. You doing all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fold up my little cushion. Okay, we're already having some good releases here. And Sally, getting relaxed. Okay, I'm going to come back down here to the feet. This is one of the ways we can feel where traumas have happened in the body. So I feel down here by the ankle, and I'm actually feeling the cranial rhythm down here on the ankle as the system is pumping the fluid through. The legs rotate out and then in the same rhythm. And by feeling real light, I'm going to come down here and just hold her feet. We can tell at what joint we're having the problems. And you feel it rotating in now. And it's coming back out. And I'm not feeling a real strong cranial rhythm down here in Sally's ankles. But everybody's a little bit different, and this is going to be relative. So next I'm going to move up to her thighs. And if we have a pronounced difference here at the thighs, where I can feel it moving real well here on the thighs. That tells me there's something going on in the knees. It's creating some conflict. Now we're rotating out. Back in. You can see as I'm making contact, Sally's getting a deeper breath. Occasional twinge as the system is readjusting. I'm going to feel up here on the top of the hip. And the pelvis actually opens and closes along with the legs. So we can see if there's any trauma in the pelvis here by which side rotates better. And one in. And out. My teacher in this, Michael Shea, said that what they found in the research was that the osteopaths, this is originally an osteopathic tradition, craniosacral work, and the older osteopaths find a slower rhythm. I'm getting back here under Sally's sacrum, and what they do is they wait for the breath and the blood and the cranial system to all sync up, and so they're feeling more than just the cranial system. They're feeling the entire wave of the whole body. I'm down here on the pubic bone in the front and on the sacrum in the back, and what we're doing here is a diaphragm release for this bottom diaphragm here. What I'm doing now is just getting back into the system, making contact. What I'm going to do is just apply a slight pressure. And as I do that pressure, your system's going to respond by pushing me left or right, or torsioning. This feels like a little bit of a counterclockwise twist. So I'm letting my right hand go with that twist. My bottom hand is following it a little bit too. Just a slight pressure. And as this pelvic diaphragm is relaxing, we're just unwinding some of the trauma out of it. Doing all right, Sal? I can feel a little gurgling going on, a little bit of adjusting. The way I like to look at this work is basically just restarting the whole system. You're in a system of homeostasis where your body's constantly trying to go towards a normal, and this gives you a whole new normal to go to. We had a good big breath there. That's a sign that we've had a release. I'm starting to feel the breath come in under my hand. I'm just waiting for the breath to go all the way through. Watching for body signals, twitching fingers. Feeling the breath come under my fingers now. And just feel a little softening. I'm going to move up here to the diaphragm right next to the stomach. That helps us breathe. And again, just rest my hand here. I've got my right hand in the middle of the back, my left hand right at the base of the sternum at the edge of the ribs. This is called the respiratory diaphragm. This diaphragm is our key diaphragm that we absorb all our traumas into. If you've ever gotten scared or gotten yelled at, you know the first thing you do is you hold your breath. And this is how we hold our breath, by stopping this muscle and armoring it. So I'm pushing down here a little bit. I'm kind of getting a push over to the right a little bit. We're to my right, Sally's left. I'm hearing a little gurgling, indicating there's some fluid moving around. We're having a little release in here. Sometimes you get a little shaking. We're still getting a little finger movement. Just watching that breath to see if the breath is going to come in under my hand. And sometimes when you're holding these positions, it'll look like the whole system is shut down, which is basically what's happened. So breathing has gotten real shallow and the system is trying to readjust. And I'm feeling this diaphragm wanting to move a little bit, so I'm going to change where my pressure is going, see what happens with it. We're not trying to have anything happen here. We're just trying to relax this diaphragm. And we're back into a quiet place. I feel the breath moving up under my hand and all the way through. The next diaphragm that we have here is the thoracic outlet. The reason these diaphragms are so important is because the diaphragms go horizontally in our body, and most of our muscles go vertically. So these diaphragms directly interface with our spine through our vertebra because they're moving horizontally. So restrictions in these diaphragms and armoring has an effect on our cranial system in restricting the movement. I'm kind of reconnecting to this system here, and this thoracic area, thoracic outlet seems to be pretty sensitive here on Sally, so I'm going to go real gentle. I'm having a little bit of a gasping, breathing pattern. Feel lots of fluid moving around here. So I'm going to just start gently, kind of sinking in. See what direction we're wanting to go a little bit, counterclockwise. A little bit to Sally's left. Just setting that for me. And I feel the bones in the sternum and the clavicles moving around a lot here. No strong heartbeat going on. And the left hand is right under the 7th cervical vertebra, which is the one that sticks out kind of like a little hump on the bottom of your neck. And get some swallowing. That's good. Doing all right, Sally? I'm feeling the breath come up under my hand. And there's a little release going on, and the whole area is softening up. If you notice, we were getting, before we were having a lot of breathing down in there, more in the abdomen and less in the chest, and now we're having more breath up here in the chest, which is good. We want a balance of breath. Most of us breathe either in the abdomen or in the chest. So now we've got Sally breathing both places. This next diaphragm is right at the base of the skull, and it's located at the atlanto-occipital joint. So what I'm doing is getting my 2 middle fingers Right at the base of the occiput, I'm extending Sally's chin up here a little bit. Is that comfortable? And we're just kind of pointing my fingers up towards the third eye there. And there's an axis that rotates from the base of the occiput through that third eye. We're going to rotate around on that axis a little bit. Here I'm just following the movement, seeing which way you want to go. So Sally seems to want to tilt a little bit to the left here. So we're torsioning a little bit to the left, but we're turning to the right. We're leaning back. And when I found the end point here, I'm just going to hang out. I'm waiting for that joint to open up. Her head to just sink down in my hand, and we're noticing a lot of movement around the hands and the feet. All these little finger twitches and toe movements are indications that the system is readjusting. All these nerve impulses going throughout the body. Get the system shutting down here again. I'm getting a really strong pulsing in my fingers. I feel her head starting to sink, but not really. I'm going to extend the chin up a little bit more. Yeah, we're going. Sinking down right there, it goes right down into my hands. And we're getting low, breathing back up into the chest again. So now we've gotten into the system. We've had some release on all our major diaphragms here. I'm going to do what's called a vault hold. I'm just kind of got my fingers all the way across all the bones of the skull here. Just a very light pressure. I can feel the bones as they're moving. Now on the side of the skull, the parietal bones move out, and as those bones move out, the frontal and occipital bones, which are in the front and the back, move in. And that's the way our system pumps through there. In the bottom part, we have a bone called the sphenoid, which kind of looks like a butterfly. It goes back behind the eyes. If you ever gotten hit in the side of in the temple and blacked out, it's because somebody's moved your sphenoid and it upset your balance pretty bad. We're getting nice little twitches and adjustments going on here, just from hanging out here and contacting the system. So next I'm going to go for the frontal bone, which is right here, your forehead. You can get that bone right here by the edge of the eyebrows. Just with a nice light pressure. I'm coming in here and until I feel the bone push back against me. Now that I've got the bone, I'm going to just kind of traction it a little bit. I'm seeing the system start reacting. As I traction this bone up, I'll feel a stretch reflex, just like the stretch reflex you have when somebody stretches your leg and it goes a little bit far. They'll try to pull back. The left side's opening up a little bit more than the right side. And the system's starting to move around here. You all right, Sally? So since the left side opened up a little bit faster, I'm going to just hang out here on the left side and wait for the right side to catch up. And the right side's starting to move. It's a little sluggish. I got both sides up, I can feel the stretch reflex pulling, and all I do is don't pull against it, I just hang out and resist it. And what happens is the stretch decides to let go. It's still trying to make up its mind here. Now we're kind of into a free flow area where I can just, feels like I could pull that bone right off her forehead. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to see which way it leads me. How are you feeling, Sally? Feel silly? Okay. Like, okay. I'm just not getting a lot of movement in this frontal bone. The right side's pulling up. I'm doing a little torque on it. You feeling anything down in your sacrum?
Where's that? I don't know.
That's your tailbone. Okay, we're going to take that as a release. I'm going to quit asking you questions, okay, Sally?
Thanks.
You feel free to zone out. Okay, next what we're doing here is the parietal bones on the side of the head. And I'm just reaching up and pushing, and the temporal bone that's right behind the ear, I want to push in a little bit on these parietals to get them to let go from there. They're starting to let go. And the right side is, especially in the back, is not wanting to let go. There's something happening here with the right side. So I'm just going to hang out and let it come out on its own terms. Something's going on with Sally. Starting to come out a little bit. I'm gonna re-grab here. You doing okay? And what happens sometimes with this cranial work is the trauma that's stored in your bones will come back out, and currently one of these crashes is coming back into view for Sally right now. So when I can't get this thing to release, what I'm going to do is lighten up. Because we can't force these bones in the head. So by lightening up, we can encourage the system to let go, start moving again. There's throwing a little bit of release here on the right side now. Now I'm waiting for the left side to catch up. Grip. And this may explain why we weren't getting a lot of movement on the occiput. So I'm just going to let the parietal bones hang out where they are right now. Just go back and get centered here. You don't have to do everything in one session. And next we normally do the sphenoid, the butterfly-shaped bone, I'm sorry. But I'm wanting to go for the temporal bone. The temporal bone is kind of neat because it's beyond having a hole in it for your ear, it's also hooked up to a fascial organization called the tentorium, and that's what holds up the two hemispheres of your brain. And it's also hooked onto this parietal bone that we were just talking to, so I'm going to see what happens with it. So first what I'm doing is kind of working a little bit down towards the shoulders. Letting go on the left side, but not too much on the right. And wait for the right side to catch up. And the reason that we're pulling down instead of straight out is because there's a bevel joint between the parietal bone and the temporal bone. So first what I'm doing is trying to get them off of each other. Back off, use a little bit less pressure. It's starting to let go. Now I'm going to traction outwards. Once we start tractioning outwards, we're working directly with that fascial membrane. And this creates some balance between the brain. This membrane is a lot like our respiratory diaphragm in that it separates the emotional part of our brain from our conscious part of our brain. So sometimes when we have an emotional trauma, or any kind of trauma, we try to shut off feeling it from our consciousness. And we end up getting a block between our emotional brain and our conscious brain. And that creates a tension in this here too. You all right, Sally? What I'm doing is just kind of following the motion of it, seeing which way it wants to go, doing a little leading, a little following. Just waiting for a nice release on both sides here. There goes the right side, letting go nice right there. We're getting away from the parietal bone a little bit more. What I'm hoping to do here is moving away from the parietal bone is to give that parietal more chance to see what it's doing with that occiput back there. I'm just going to let go. I felt a nice release there, so I'm going to let go of that one. Now the sphenoid also articulates with the occiput in the back, just right in front of where the spine enters into the occiput. And a lot of the osteopaths consider the occiput to be a vertebra, just a big flat vertebra, which is really what it is because the spine goes through the middle of it. So what I'm doing now is compressing the sphenoid back against the occiput until I can feel it resting on it. And just kind of flatten out that joint. You see a little bit of adjustments going on. And the left side's seating in there pretty nice, but the right side doesn't seem to know where to go. Settling in better. Suddenly a little twisting going on. So now we've got it seated down in there. We're going to traction it back out. See if it wants to go to a new place. And again, I'm doing the same process. I'm feeling for the bone to push against me. And after I have contact with the bone, I'm just ever so slightly tractioning it out. Seeing which side wants to come faster. Right now, neither side's wanting to come. The left side feels a little looser. Torsion a little bit. Torsioning is kind of a clockwise type of movement instead of one side or the other. And back again. What I'm always waiting for at the end of these motions is kind of a softening feeling or a spreading feeling going on through the joints of the bones, which tells me that there's fluids moving around and that the collagen is what makes the joints flexible and pulls back. And the right side is stretched out nice. Left side's a little stiff. And there's a nice spreading there. Just going to let the system calm back down here again. What are we running out of time? I can see a clock. Next we're going to do the TMJ, temporal mandibular joint. And since Sally's taking a hit here, we have to pay attention to what we're doing. Going to do just like on the sphenoid, going to do a little compression. Right side's kind of jumping here. It was really interesting when I was having this done to me. It felt like I was choking and they were barely touching me. Sally may have that same feeling. Side moved fast at first, but now it's not wanting to settle in. It's feeling like it's in there. Now this joint is, while it is kind of troublesome, it is the joint that regenerates the fastest in our body. It's real interesting that the masseter, which is the muscle that runs the mandible here, which I'm on right now to do some tractioning. What we're doing now is tractioning the joint back out. But the masseter is the last muscle to decay when you're starving to death. So it's like your body knows to save that muscle so you can eat. And it's also the joint that rehabilitates itself the fastest in the body. So we take care of our TMJ, it can heal itself. So this is opening up that whole area. And again, we're getting into, I'm feeling myself use too much pressure, so I'm backing off. Again, we're into the tentorium there. Same attachment here with the temporalis. You can see as I lightened up my pressure, I hooked back into the system. That's the hardest thing with this, is to learn to just lighten up your pressure. We're waiting for the right side to catch up again. And sinking in. It feels like a nice softening motion to me. So we'll come back and work with that again sometime. What I'm going to do now is another work with the AO joint again. See if we can get that to open a little bit more. I'm already getting a lot better extension than I did the first time. And just moving around, see which way the head wants to go. Then we're kind of twisting to the left and rotating to the right. This is an area that people are a lot of times really compressed and don't even know it. And it really is relaxing when this joint opens up, your whole neck and back all your muscles tend to completely relax, and it's just opening up and starting to sink into my hand. You see big breaths going on. The end point of this, you just feel the head get really heavy in your hand. Just sink right into you. And a few deep breaths, and that's really good. Release. We're going to go back down here and check in with the sacrum real quick. I do this move with my left hand because I broke my right wrist when I was a kid, so it doesn't fit under there right. What I'm going to do is lift this left leg up. And just get the sacrum so it's right there in my palm. I'm feeling that rocking back and forth motion again. It's going up and back. And what I'm waiting for here is for the sacrum to just fill up with fluid and kind of start floating. And again, that's the joint space between the sacrum and the iliac or the pelvis, which has a slight rotation. A lot of times it gets stiff, especially on one side or the other. You feel it starting to open up now. This is another move that I'm just not really doing anything. I'm just hanging out, talking with the system, connecting, wait for a change to happen. You can see that diaphragm starting to move around a little bit here. Some breath response going on. And I'm just going to coax a little bit extra movement. Moving down and back. I guess while I'm doing this, I can do the sponsors. Okay, River City Home and Garden is over there on South Lamar, just past Barton Springs. I'm feeling kind of soaked into my hand here. And they're just down south of Barton Springs on Lamar. River City Home and Garden, Derek and everybody over there. I'm feeling this start to soak up here. It's kind of like filling up a water bed. I feel it start floating. Sally likes that one. And the therapy center over at 25th and Longview, I'm sorry. 25th and Longview overlooking Pease Park there. Gerald and Jesse over there at the therapy center, and give these people a call. Give any of our sponsors a call. If you're watching the program, give some feedback to our sponsors. They're interested in seeing who's watching. Now we're getting a nice release here in the sacrum now. This is going to open up the whole lower back as well as the system and the spine. Pro tape down at 313 South Congress. ProTape's been helping me out in all my projects and helping out here with the Bodywork since the beginning. So thanks to ProTape, 313 South Congress. We're getting a good release here. So I'm gonna bring my hand out. We'll give Sally a second to recoup here while I finish the sponsors, and then maybe we'll have a word with her if she's able to talk. Body support systems, our body cushion we got right over here. Great therapy tool, and good for relaxation too. I like to just lay on it, take a nap. She's alive. She's coming back to life. Third Coast Massage School and Clinic. People ask me, you know, I want to learn how to do this stuff. Where should I go? Third Coast, our school sponsor. Sherry, Amy, the gang down there at Third Coast. They're at 3425 BK's Road. Heather's doing a little dance for us too. She's feeling better. It's good. It's a good thing. I like it. Richie Mintz, my rolfer, one of the people who helps me move around. We had him on last month. Fun guy, Richie, and a great banjo player. And Richie has said that he's gotten good response. Lots of people calling him, asking him about rolfing. If you're interested in rolfing, Richie is a good guy to talk to. Lots of information. She's not ready to sit up yet. Oakworks, our friends at Oakworks, helping us out here on the Bodyworker. And they got an 800 number if you want to give them a call. They're over on the East Coast. And we've used their table here on the show a number of times, and that's the Advanolite, and also used their chairs, which our buddy Raymond Blaylock uses in his seated massage experience. So Oakworks making some good massage tables and other massage products. Here, she's coming up. Habitat Suites. Eduardo, my buddy over at Habitat Suites, also helps out running Casa de Luz. Check out Habitat Suites. It's over there on Highland Mall Boulevard. Can you hold this thing or no? Okay. The Herb Bar. Connie Moore down at the Herb Bar, and that's one of my favorite places to go. It's just a funky little house there at Marion Congress, and she's just got like bulk essential oils. I mean, I've never seen so many different kinds of essential oils, and you can get whatever custom size you need. And I just go wild when I go in there because I like to mix my own lotions for massage. Sally's got a whole new level of normal going on here. Sugo Music, we've been listening to Songs for the Wild. This is Steven Pissarro. I can never say his name right. We need him to call us up, but maybe we can call Sugo Music and ask him how to say his name. This is called Songs for the Wild, and this is, I think they've given money to the rainforest on this deal. But nice music. You said you liked it. It was Sally's pick. So Sugo Music, check them out at your local record store. Thanks for sponsoring us. There's my number, Kevin Roberts. You got a minute. Lay it on us. What was it? You gotta hold the mic up here.
Different.
She feels different.
I feel silly.
This is the emotional response we were looking for. Giddiness. This is the new and improved Sally here, Zen Cranial, here on the Bodyworker. And our fantastic crew, just doing a great job. We're all family here on the Bodyworker. Charles on the switcher, Kathy, Heather running cameras, Sally getting goofy, and Dan doing everything. Sound, tape rolls, handheld, spiritual guidance. He's there. Thanks for watching the Bodyworker. There's my name and address. If you need any information on massage, bodywork, Zen, Cranial, any of that stuff, give me a call. Write me a letter. We're great. It's great working with you. Great having you watch here on the Bodyworker.